Mike Turner had worked the night shift at Pinehill Storage for almost 5 years. It was the kind of job no one else wanted. 12-hour nights, 7 cameras, and nothing but the hum of fluorescent lights to keep you company. He didn't mind it, though. He liked the silence. He liked knowing exactly where he stood. One man, one screen, one building. Every night he made his rounds, checked the storage units, noted any broken locks, and watched the cameras for movement. Mostly he saw dust, spiders, and the occasional raccoon. Until one Thursday night in November. That was the night he saw something move on camera 3. It was around 2:47 a.m. Mike had just poured his 4th cup of instant coffee. The security feed showed 7 screens, 6 dark and still, 1, camera 3, flickering faintly. At first he thought it was a glitch. The lights in the storage corridor flickered often, but then he noticed the shadow. It wasn't quick like an animal. It was slow, human slow. A shape moved down the narrow hallway past Unit 102, then 103. Mike leaned forward. The figure was too blurry to make out. No color, no detail, just the faint outline of a person. He checked the access logs on his computer. No one had entered. No code used. No door opened. He switched to the live feed again. The figure had stopped in front of Unit 109. That unit had been empty for months. Mike frowned. "Maybe a trespasser," he muttered, grabbing his flashlight and keys. He headed out into the cold night, the gravel crunching under his boots. The corridor lights buzzed overhead, casting a faint yellow glow. As he walked past each unit, he checked the locks, all secure. When he reached 109, he stopped. The door was closed, the padlock untouched, but the air, it felt different, colder. He shone his flashlight around. Empty hallway. Nothing unusual. He took a deep breath and turned back toward the office. Behind him, something clanged. He spun around. Unit 109's padlock was swinging gently, as if someone had just let it go. Mike went back inside, trying to shake the unease crawling up his spine. He replayed the footage from camera 3. The figure had vanished. But just before disappearing, it had turned. Its head tilting toward the camera, as if it knew it was being watched. And though the face was blurred, Mike could swear he saw eyes. Wide, dark, and hollow. He stared at the screen until the static flickered, then turned away. Probably a trick of the light, he told himself. Still, he saved the footage to a flash drive, just in case. The next night, the motion sensor in Corridor B tripped at 3:11 a.m. Mike switched the feed. The camera showed the same corridor, the same locked doors, nothing moving. Then for a split second, static. When the image cleared, something was standing in front of the camera. Close, too close. The face filled the screen, pale skin, hollow eyes, mouth slightly open like it was whispering. Then the feed cut to black. Mike's breath caught. He rewound the footage, but the recording between 3:11 and 3:12 was gone. Corrupted file. He checked the other cameras, all working fine. Only camera 3 had failed. He rebooted the system. When it came back online, the feed showed an empty hallway again. He leaned back in his chair, heart pounding. "I need a vacation," he whispered, but then something made him freeze. On the screen, faintly visible at the edge of the frame, a footprint. A wet human footprint, right in front of Unit 109. By the 4th night, Mike was jumpy. He brought an extra thermos of coffee and left all the lights on in the control room. He told himself he'd stay in the office no matter what. If something weird showed up, he'd call the cops this time. At 3:00 a.m., right on schedule, the motion alert went off again. He looked at the monitor. Camera 3 was flickering. And in the middle of the hallway stood the same figure. Tall, thin, its head slightly tilted to one side. Mike's mouth went dry. "Who are you?" he whispered. As if it heard him, the figure took one slow step toward the camera. Then another. Its hand lifted, pale and long-fingered, and reached toward the lens. The feed went static. All 7 cameras blinked off for exactly 5 seconds. When they came back on, every screen showed the same thing, the same hallway, the same figure. Except now it wasn't on camera 3 anymore. It was standing in every camera at once. Mike's shaking hands pulled the plug from the wall. All the screens went black. The silence in the room was deafening. Then, from behind him, came the sound of footsteps. Slow, wet. He turned. The corridor light outside the office door flickered. "Hello?" he called out, forcing his voice to stay calm. "Who's there?" No answer. The footsteps stopped right outside the door. He gripped the flashlight, heart hammering. He was done. He was going to call the police, quit, burn the place down if he had to. He took one step toward the door. Something slid under it, a piece of paper, old and crumpled. He hesitated, then bent down and picked it up. There was only one sentence written on it in shaky handwriting. "Don't delete the footage." Mike didn't go home after that shift. He couldn't sleep. He took the flash drive to his friend Sam, a tech guy who used to work in CCTV repair. They loaded the footage on Sam's laptop. The first few seconds looked normal, the figure moving down the hall, the tilt of its head. But when Sam slowed the playback, the static cleared slightly. You could see the face. Not clearly, but enough. It looked like Mike. Same build, same uniform, same flashlight hanging from his belt. Sam laughed nervously. "That's you, man. You were walking down the hall." "I wasn't," Mike said quietly. "I was in the office." "Then how—" Before he could finish, the laptop screen flickered. The footage skipped ahead on its own. Now the figure was standing directly in front of the camera again. Only this time the face wasn't blurred. It was clear, too clear, and it was smiling. Sam swore and slammed the laptop shut. They both sat there staring at it. Mike's pulse pounded in his ears. "That's not possible," he whispered. Sam nodded. "Yeah, let's just delete it." But when Sam reopened the laptop, the folder was empty. The file was gone. "Maybe it got corrupted again," he said weakly. Mike didn't answer. He just stared at the dark screen. Because reflected faintly in the glass over Sam's shoulder, he could see a shape standing behind him. Tall, thin, tilting its head. Mike didn't go back to work for 2 days. He told the manager he was sick. On the 3rd day, he got a call. "Hey, Mike, you need to come in. We've got a situation," said the manager. "What kind of situation?" "Police are here. They found something in Unit 109. Mike's stomach twisted. "What?" The manager hesitated. "You'd better see it for yourself." When Mike arrived, the parking lot was full of flashing lights. 2 police cars, a coroner's van. He felt dizzy as he walked down Corridor B. The yellow tape fluttered in the breeze. The padlock on Unit 109 was gone. The door stood half open. Inside, the concrete floor was damp, stained dark in the center. The officer in charge looked up as Mike approached. "You work here?" Mike nodded weakly. The officer glanced at his clipboard. "We got a tip about a smell. When we checked the unit, we found remains. Looks like they've been here for weeks." Mike's voice cracked. "Remains?" The officer nodded. "Human. We'll know more after the autopsy." Mike swallowed hard. "Any idea who?" The officer looked at him for a long moment. "Male, middle-aged. Uniform was found with him. Security badge says Michael Turner." Mike felt the world tilt. That's impossible. I'm Mike Turner." The officer frowned. "Then we've got a real problem." They took him in for questioning. He told them everything. The cameras, the figure, the messages. They didn't believe him. They said maybe the footage was tampered with. Maybe someone used his uniform. Maybe stress made him imagine things. When they checked the security system, all the footage from the past month was gone. Wiped clean. The hard drives were empty. But the officer in charge found one thing under the desk. A flash drive. It was labeled in shaky handwriting, "Don't delete the footage." That night, after the police left, Mike went home. He locked every door, every window. He tried to convince himself it was over, that someone else was responsible, that there was a rational explanation. But as he sat alone in his small apartment, he noticed something. His home security camera light, the small red LED, was blinking. It shouldn't have been. He hadn't turned it on. He opened the feed on his phone. The image loaded slowly. At first, it showed his empty living room, then a faint shape at the edge of the frame. A tall figure standing in the hallway, head tilted, watching. Mike dropped the phone. His breath came fast and shallow. He backed into the bedroom and slammed the door. From the other side of the wall came a faint, distorted voice, like from an old recording. It said, "You shouldn't have left." 2 days later, police returned to Mike's apartment after he didn't show up for work. The door was locked from the inside. The lights were off. The only sound was the faint hum of static from a small security monitor on his desk. The screen flickered, replaying a single clip on loop. A grainy image of Mike sitting at his desk, staring at the camera, his mouth open as if trying to speak. Then, suddenly, the figure behind him leaned closer, its face filling the screen, and the feed cut to black. That was the last recording ever recovered from Pinehill Storage. The footage was sealed by the police. But sometimes, late at night, workers still hear the faint hum of static coming from the monitors, and swear they see someone walking past Unit 109, head tilted, flashlight in hand, making his rounds.